Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another episode of Trudge Report, where we talk about our experiences in recovery, better living, trending topics, sports, and a good bit of nonsense. My name is Sean and I am your host. I am joined by my wonderful compadres, good friends, and fellow trudgers, Bill, Corey, and Greg. Please remember you can check out new episodes of Trudge Report every Tuesday. Listen on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. Later every week, you can watch our episodes on YouTube and Facebook, but please be sure to download on your listening platforms. Remember to like and subscribe on all social media outlets with the handle @TrudgeReportPod. Again, that is @TrudgeReportPod. We are brought to you by Stella Mix Podcast Management and our wonderful producer and editor, Miss Janine Stella. Gentlemen, good evening. Welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Hello.
Hey, Sean.
We're gonna get right into our political segment and just throw it down. We're getting into politics. We tricked everybody. We wanted to do better living and recovery and all that nonsense. We're gonna get right into politics, guys, from here on out.
Fuck better living.
We're all ready to get canceled. Just kidding, but maybe stay tuned at some point. How is everyone? We're gonna start with Corey. Corey, around the horn. What's going on, bud? First off, we need to address, where are you coming to us from? And you don't have to disclose the location, but are you like in Narnia or something with that? You got some, for those who will eventually watch this on YouTube or Facebook, Corey's got some, I think he took mushrooms before this or something. I'm not really sure.
Not this week. I am coming to you live from what's known as NOLA, I believe. Is that right? NOLA?
That's right.
NOLA is right, or Nawlins. Nawlins. Nawlins.
Furry convention, or what are we doing?
Am I what?
Is there a furry convention in New Orleans? Why are you in New Orleans?
We're actually here meeting. Well, I met my baby nephew for the first time. Gabby had already met him, but yeah, we brought the fam out to visit Gabby's sister and husband or her husband and baby and whatnot in Nawlins.
Nawlins.
Yeah, 10-hour drive, wasn't too bad. Stopped at a Buc-ee's. Apparently here there's waves on screens. I don't know what that is. I'm feeling wavy.
For those of you that are listening and won't watch this, it will not matter to you, but check them out on YouTube. It'll be funny.
Yeah, there's waves running down my face right now. And it's scaring me. Move on. I don't want to be the center of attention anymore.
Move on. There you go. All right. Well, it's your around the horn being kicked to you first. So
let me actually
what are you feeling on this week, Corey? What are you cooking on, as they would say?
Well, just an honorable mention of my day real quick. We just went to a restaurant. Who the hell is Bobby Hebert? You guys know him? Played for the Saints in the 60s.
Hebert? No, never heard of him.
I don't know. Has a restaurant. Whatever. Just got some Cajun jambalaya pasta. It was really good. The best part of the experience, though, was our server. Her name was Taylor. Shout out to Taylor. She sounded exactly like Tara from True Blood. If you've ever watched True Blood.
Yes, I have.
Great show.
Yeah.
And she was so great. I literally want to take her back to the undisclosed location of Florida and get her a job at my favorite restaurant.
Oh, I thought you were going a different direction with that.
Really going somewhere.
Oh, God. Yeah, I'm sweating over here. You had me nervous there for a second, Corey. Sorry, Gabby.
That Creole's getting to him.
God, no, guys. Come on. And yeah, so that was cool. She was great. That's all, really. I have a comment, but I know that Greg's going to talk about something related, so I'll wait till it gets around the horn.
Okay.
Well, since we've been communicating for most of the week while you've been in Nawlins, Corey, would you like to tell the listening audience just how much of Creole food you've consumed since you've been there?
Is jambalaya Creole?
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Then one. Also, still don't know what jambalaya is, but it was in whatever I ate, and it was very good.
the name is like it is exactly what it sounds like. Jumbled.
Yes.
Is it just meat? It's
I
just
don't know, Bill.
stuff?
Look it up real quick if you can. Look it up, Bill.
rice and peppers
Laya and Laya.
There was no
sausage
rice in that. There was definitely sausage.
well, that's because you had it mixed into a pasta. You know what I'm saying? So you had like a little spin on that dish.
Okay, well that's fine. It was really good.
It's a Cajun dish of rice with shrimp, chicken, and vegetables. But it's the thing is the spicing as well. But go ahead.
Yeah, and you know what else though? Apparently red beans and rice is a thing here. That
good thing.
You know about that? Yeah, and it's like a little bit of Cajun sausage in it too. That was really good. So I don't know if that's
andouille. It's called andouille sausage.
It's
the best.
I believe you.
Any crawfish?
No, but I'm not gonna seek that out, dude. Like I do like seafood, but I did not like lobster when I had it. So, am I gonna like crawfish?
Probably
I don't know.
Dude, I mean, it's not for everybody, but I don't know how you go through Louisiana and not get a crawdad.
Old crawfish bowl.
Old crawdaddy.
Bowl.
I don't know, but dude, I felt right at home when that server started talking, and she sounded just like Tara from True Blood. I was just like, and she was like so sweet. I don't know. And you know what? I tipped high, guys. Okay.
Good. We believe that.
Oh, you know what? On that note, I did get pressured into leaving an extra $1 somewhere the other day. I would have only left $1. Somebody was staring at me.
What?
And I left. I totally left the second $1. It was one of my coworkers.
Man.
So I went on we had a work field trip on Wednesday. We had to go visit one of our community partners. And we went to this little Greek restaurant for lunch, and it's one of those you pay at the counter, you order at the counter and pay at the counter, and then go sit, and they just call your number. And my thing was like, I don't know, it was like $9. All I got was €1. And I paid with my credit card, and I always have singles on me, so I was just usually would just leave $1. No one's serving me, just to put it out. No one's serving me. I'm just ordering from the lady at the register. The cook is making it, and they put it on the counter, and they yell 38, and you go get your food. That's it. And I normally leave $1, and my coworker was standing right next to me, and I literally thought about it. Put $2 in there, so
dang,
I
dude.
got pressured.
That makes me want to draft up like articles of tipping etiquette treaty or something we all need to sign.
Oh man, I was so mad at myself after. I was like, why did I let peer pressure? But sidebar. Sorry, Corey. Go ahead.
No, I mean,
that's it.
Good for you. Good for you to do that.
Corey approves.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Other than that, we head back tomorrow. So
cool.
Getting ready for another 10-hour drive. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Sincerely.
Nice.
Bill, how's your week been?
Oh, can it get any better? Congrats to Corey's family on the child. And can it get any better? So we went to Disney this week. Good news is I'm back home. Get to sleep in my own bed tonight. In the words of my boy Tiger King, I don't know if I'm ever going to financially recover from this, but Disney was real fun. Got to take my daughter and my son and my wife. We all went. And the real MVP was Gatorland. If you have never been to Gatorland, go check Gatorland out. It was a really cool experience. I can't really put it into words because it would just not sound as cool as it was. And it was affordable and just a good time. So I recommend that. We had a great time. Just got back, like I said. But here's my Disney balloon as well. That was only $16.
Did it come with one ear?
I did not tip. There is 2 ears on that balloon.
There's one ear. All right.
On other news and notes, I ordered a Valentine's shirt for my wife and I in late January. Just came today. Got the package. It was from China. I didn't realize it was coming from China, and it looks nothing like the way that it was supposed to look. But it says Bill real big on it, and there's pictures of my face all over it, and it's just the funniest thing ever, especially because it's like a month late. Also, Steeler country, let's ride. We got the big dog. We are in the Super Bowl conversation this week. Greg, can you feel it, baby? Oh man, we got Russ for $1 million clean, made Denver pay the rest of the tab. We got our boy Patrick Queen from Baltimore. We picked up a safety off the Dolphins. Who's probably really good. Last time we got a safety off the Dolphins, his name was Minka Fitzpatrick. We're making moves. We traded crybaby Deontay Johnson. That guy's gone. Old Butterfingers, AB Junior, AB Light, CTE SPN Junior, and man, Steeler country. We're ready. We're rocking. I see Super Bowl clearly coming up here because the defense is immaculate. And let's not forget, I never said this publicly until now, but we traded a big mistake by the name of Kenny Pickett to the Philadelphia Eagles today. The guy, look at those hands.
Tiny hands.
You can't have tiny hands like that and throw the football, okay?
They are.
I'll throw a football over those mountains right now.
I love you, Corey, but you can't have Corey-sized hands and play in the NFL. Any position, probably not even punter. And this guy, apparently he had a real hissy fit when we decided we were selling in Russ. He also would not dress. It came out he did not dress in week 18 when we played. We started Mason Rudolph. So, crybaby, head to the proper team for you named the Philadelphia Eagles. Bunch of crybabies over there. Yeah, Cleveland's in trouble. Baltimore's in trouble. Cincinnati, you're on notice.
Can you hold on for those who may not be completely familiar with football? You said Russ, but who is it exactly?
Oh, Russ Wilson. If you know Sierra, the Grammy-winning artist, he's her husband. He's he's kind of a big deal. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been to 2. He's a great quarterback.
He's also like way past his prime, but that's all right. You know.
Sean, what was his quarterback rating? Hold on, Sean, what was his quarterback rating?
He did have a good QBR. I don't know, but he did have a good QBR.
High 90, like 90.
But he fizzled out. He fizzled out at the end. And just for the record, the Steelers are plus 7,500 to win the Super Bowl.
Put it all
next
in.
year.
Put it push.
They're literally like the 8th team from last to be picked.
Okay.
But hey, I will say it's a much better situation than you had last year at quarterback. I still think he's got a couple years in him, and that's in sincerity.
No way those are live odds. I bet you can't bet that right now because that will change. I was looking.
For sure.
But
I'm just saying what it is right now.
Let me tell the people as well. Sean, he calls himself a Commanders fan. He's really a Ravens fan. I know it. He's it's a little tense here. We got Cleveland and we got Ravens.
Patrick Queen is gone.
Oh, fantastic! I'm elated. I mean, so I'm good. I'm gonna pass on that. I can't get much better than that. So,
would you wear Ravens gear?
Who?
Me?
Him.
Yeah,
Sean.
Yeah.
See, I can't do. I'm with Kylie Kelsey on this. I will not wear another team's gear. If like the Dolphins were in the Super Bowl, I'd be like, go Fins or whatever. But I'm not wearing your gear.
Yeah, no, I totally would. It makes it a little easier that the Commanders have stunk for quite some time. But if let's say they were both, it was Commanders Ravens in the Super Bowl or whatever. Absolutely, I'd wear Commanders gear over Ravens. But
yeah.
But he has adopted the team, Corey. It's not like he's just. It's like oh, hey, wear this to go to the game. You know.
Makes my in-laws happy. So,
I suppose.
Greg, did you have any notes on free agency moves in the NFL?
I got a lot. It is no longer NFL season, but we would be remiss if we did not bring up. It's been a huge week for free agency moves. So, running back roulette. Saquon Barkley to the Eagles. Derrick Henry to the Ravens. That's kind of scary, honestly. That's scarier than Russ for sure. Josh Jacobs to the Packers. Josh,
that's a great get for the Packers. Great get.
Well, surprising that they released Aaron Jones, but then obviously they had already been in talks with Jacobs, and then Aaron Jones just hops over to the division rival, which I love in Minnesota. Very surprising to me that the Bengals traded Joe Mixon. He's been stellar for them for years. He's been kind of like the heart and soul of that team, but they got who did they get in his place, Bill?
No,
Zach Moss,
and they were going to release Mixon.
They were going to release him, but they worked out a trade. Yeah.
But isn't there a history of Mixon like maybe not being the best dude? Kind of.
I heard he's changed though. I've heard he's been.
Hey,
better.
You know what? The four.
All I know is he's been a bell cow of a running back for.
That's true.
He's been steady Eddie the whole way.
We don't care about character.
But real quick though, I mean, he slowed down. I watch him
especially
a lot.
the Cleveland Browns.
Agreed.
No, I'm just kidding.
Agreed. He's slowed down, but I mean, he's still top 10.
No, but I get the move from a financial, you know what I mean?
From a
'Cause I think they
financial
saved,
standpoint.
I forget how much, but it was
Well, there were
millions.
rumors all week and nothing's happened yet, but like they franchise tag T. Higgins. T. Higgins is happy.
Yeah.
He wants out. And there's been rumors and rumblings all week that they are doing everything in their power to try and get Justin Jefferson out of Minnesota. And I don't want to think what that offense would be like if Joe Burrow's 100% and you got JJ and then Jamar Chase.
Let me say. All right, hold on a second though. This is kind of like the too many point guards thing, though. Is it? Do you really need to have two Type A receivers like that, or would it almost be beneficial to have like a route runner and then a guy that can just
play deep? That can play deep. Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
mean, that's historically what works out the best. But,
yeah. But I guess if you have the opportunity to get Justin Jefferson, I guess you're not gonna. You're gonna see how it works.
Right.
I guess.
Well, and to clarify, it would just be them too. I mean, they lost Boyd to free agency; he's not signed yet. But assuming they would trade Higgins in that deal,
I just
and
feel
Mixon
like both of those are gonna want the ball, But maybe, hey, listen,
40 pass attempts a game. I mean, they don't have a tight end, running back, or other receiver. So,
yeah.
And there are rumors that Jefferson and Steelers are in trade talks as well. And I'm not making that up.
Oh God!
Wow. Yes,
that would make me sick.
That already just thinking about that makes me sick. Sean, you've got some good news on your end. You guys cut the dead weight of Antonio Gibson and signed Austin Eckler. That's big. Everybody is saying he's a little bit past his prime, but that guy's got hands for days, man.
Yeah.
He's great out of the backfield.
And he's very versatile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He can catch, he can run.
Here's
and
a quick
somebody
question.
that's been go ahead.
Eckler or Mixon? I go Eckler.
Eckler just for his pass catching abilities, but it depends on the kind of quarterback you got, but I say that Eckler for his pass catching.
Well, we got Jacoby Brissett and Sam Howell. You can't go wrong with
Sam
those
Howell
two
got
guys.
traded.
You do not have
Oh, that's
either
right.
of those guys anymore. Jacoby Brissett is now
too?
a Patriot.
Yep.
And Sam Howell is now a Seahawk.
We're probably going to draft them.
You got to draft. You got to draft, or you got to. Well, you guys got the second overall pick. You're going to take.
That's what
Drake,
I mean.
man.
Yeah. I would love that. Would be my pick out of all three of those over Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. Drake May would be my pick.
I need you guys to explain that to me one day, and right now is not the time. But we got to have a segment on how the draft even works because I don't understand it.
We'll have an episode. We'll have a segment on it
when the draft comes up. Yeah, for sure.
It's in April, middle third of April, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Severely, in my opinion, severely underrated back stepping in for Eckler in LA is Gus Edwards, and I think he's going to have an opportunity to shine there.
Yeah.
He's a young dog. In QB news, Bill already mentioned like the Steelers did get a steal in Russ Wilson for sure. Only having to pay him
especially because Denver's paying the freaking tab.
Right. So like I don't
say it again.
between that contract with the Broncos and the Daniel Jones contract with the Giants, I don't want to hear any more about how Deshaun Watson's the worst contract in the NFL. It's not the case.
Deal. I still hold out hope for Deshaun. All the other stuff aside, all the character stuff aside, when that year, what was that, like 2019 or something
2020.
like that?
2020.
With Houston, dude, he was unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Well, I loved him. He was, yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Real Bill Cosby situation on our hands.
Yeah, a little bit.
Tough. Except, I think Bill was found guilty though, so.
He was.
Oh, he's guilty.
Deshaun has not even been charged with a crime yet.
I agree.
Just putting that
alleged crimes.
Everything is
38 allegations.
38 alleged.
And again, as Bill already mentioned, they finally got rid of the dead weight that was Kenny Pickett. The Steelers did, and dumped it right on none other than the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that is totally adept at polishing turds. So we'll see what happens.
What's adept mean?
he's good
they're
at it.
used to it. They're used to
They're
it.
skillful, yeah. Bill
That's
year,
a compliment.
I think it was last year. It might have been the season prior. Bill tried to convince me. I asked him straight up what he thought about Kenny Pickett, and dead face, he was like, "Oh, dude, he's the man.
He's
He's
it.
He's it.
Yep.
Dead weight."
He's the white Mike Vick.
I was lying to myself.
I have a question pertaining to free agency. Kind of. Who the hell is Tiki Barber? You guys want to tell me?
Oh, that's another story for another time, dude.
He's a legendary running back.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Right? Okay, so on the Saquon signing, Tiki Barber is quoted as saying, "You're dead to us, Saquon. Good luck. You're dead to me." And you would never hear that shit out of a Phillies fan. I'm just saying now.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
Well, he's
never.
not just a fan. He's part of their organization.
I don't care. Well, that's even worse.
I agree. It was a bad look, but it's just what's on his mind.
I'm telling you right now, anybody in Philadelphia or the surrounding area, any Philadelphia Eagles fan is going to say, "You know what, dude? Good for you. You got paid. We're not going to hate on you."
Dude, you guys threw snowballs at Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you cheered when Michael Irvin broke his neck. Michael Irvin broke his neck. Everyone stood up and cheered. You guys are the worst, the nastiest fan base in all of football. I mean, it's well documented.
You guys did
a series on it.
You did almost burn down your city when you won a championship.
Okay,
I'll just say that.
Don't listen. We will have a whole segment on all the cities that have done that.
No.
I will. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
You know what? All right, I thought you were going to say just
Everything-
Philadelphia. Sure, we can have a segment on that.
Yeah, we can run down a whole list. In fact, every major city probably has things like that happen. Anyway, that's Santa Claus Day, by the way. I'll end with this. He deserved it, and that was a rough day, okay? It was harsh weather conditions. People were pissed off.
Okay.
Don't fuck around, Santa.
Greg, any more?
There's a little bit more. I'm going to try and bust through it real quick.
You're good.
Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta for another enormous, historic contract for a 36-year-old quarterback coming off a torn Achilles that has won exactly one playoff game in the last, I think, 5 seasons, all while playing with some of the best offensive talent out there, right? So again, another just crazy bad contract, in my opinion. I love Kirk Cousins. I love the guy. I love his character. I love watching him throw the ball, but this is if you're gonna dog Lamar Jackson, you better dog Kirk Cousins too. You know,
he's going into a pretty good situation. He's going into a pretty good situation with some weapons around him in Atlanta too.
So we'll see what happens.
Bijan Robinson and company. So
I like
Drake London.
I like the Lamar comparison there because I never thought of it that way.
Absolutely,
it's pretty accurate.
Everybody dogs Lamar because he can't get it done in the playoffs. Well, neither can Captain Kirk, man. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's overrated.
Mac Jones finally taking his place on the bench where he belongs behind Trevor Lawrence.
Poor guy.
And, again, crazy. We're just going to have to see how everything shakes out. But the odds right now are saying that Justin Fields might be a backup quarterback next year. I can't believe that for whoever ends up landing him.
I'll tell you
who.
The Steelers.
And they're going to, what are they going to do? They're going to sit Russ and start Justin Fields?
No. It's going to be a bridge. They're going to build a bridge to like 8-9 Super Bowls.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Big ass bridge.
The Justin Fields has not been given a fair shake in the NFL yet. He's showed glimpses of.
I don't know, dude.
Dude, the Bears are a terrible organization.
I know that.
Ohio State.
I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see.
Guy's a beast.
Moving on to real quick wide receivers. Mike Williams on the open market. Keenan Allen is now, as of this morning or last night, I believe, a Chicago Bear. Harbaugh got the job, and it seems like he's pretty content on kind of shuffling out the old guard, and he wants to start with these young cats. You got Gus Edwards, you got Quentin Johnson.
Yeah. Keenan Allen's so injury prone, though. Like those guys are so injury prone.
He's been a dog though for years.
Unbelievable receiver.
Yeah, but not the last few years. That was my point. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you usually don't. Those guys, they don't usually reverse the injury stuff. It usually just continues to get worse. So.
Right.
Sure.
I understand what he's trying to do.
For sure. So I don't know. We'll see what they build around with Justin Herbert, what they do in the draft. It might be kind of a semi rebuild year out there, out out in LA. We'll see what happens. Jerry Jeudy to the Cleveland Browns for next to nothing. Love that.
That's a great get.
That's a big get. We didn't give up the house for him. I'm very curious to see what will happen. The only knock I have on that is he is like a great value version of Amari Cooper at this point. So it's like kind of like you said, is like we've got two of the guys that can do the exact same thing, you know. So we would need somebody that's solid in the slot. Marquise Hollywood Brown. He's now going to get a shot at catching from the best QB in the game right now, right? So might be a shot at redemption on from his little stint with the Cardinals, which he didn't do much in. Titans added Calvin Ridley, so he's going to line up on the other side of DeAndre Hopkins.
You want to talk about a big contract for somebody?
Who, Calvin?
$92 million over 4 years. The dude did not look good last year.
I think that's crazy. But the Titans, I mean, if they can find somebody to throw the football consistently, they might look okay this year. I mean, it's a whole new look offense. You know, you got Tony.
Who'd they hire as a coach? They let Vrabel go.
I don't know. Vrabel is now with the Cleveland Browns.
I don't think they have hired a coach at Tennessee.
No, they haven't.
Wow.
I don't think so.
They do. It's Brian Callahan who.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Who's going to stay?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And who's going to play quarterback for them?
Will Levis is on the depth chart right
Will
now.
Levis, yeah.
But we'll see.
It's going to be a rough year in Tennessee.
It might. And finally, in the biggest piece of NFL news for the day today, it came out that Aaron Donald is announcing his retirement after 10 amazing seasons in the league. Corey asked me earlier on the phone who Aaron Donald was, which is no surprise. But here's a little bit about Aaron Donald.
Possibly the greatest defender.
Absolutely.
Linebacker, right? Linebacker.
Defensive tackle. He's a defensive tackle.
Defensive tackle. Yeah.
It's a nobody.
8-time first team All-Pro, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. He was the 2014 Defensive Rookie of the Year, and of course, a Super Bowl champion. And probably the most important thing is he has yet, anyways, to make an hour-plus long retirement conference on TV like someone else we won't get into at the moment.
I was going in a different direction. He was responsible. Well, he was responsible. I mean, he's the one that got the sack on Burrow a couple of years ago for the Rams to actually win. Like, that was the game. That ended the game right there.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald was unbelievable. I mean,
he really was.
He played at Pitt, first of all. You got to give him a shout out for that. But 2017-18, I think he was injured in 19, but 20, he won the Defensive Player of the Year all those years. Unbelievable. Yep. Double team, triple team, still getting sacks, pressures, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was crazy. They Adam Schefter retweeted one of his tweets from 2014 today, and it was like it just said news out of Rams training camp is that Aaron Donald is an absolute standout monster, and you know, a little foreshadowing to his career, man. Guy was great. And good there was a lot of other moves, but you know, those were the big ones. It's going to be a crazy season next year, and I look forward to it.
Yeah. Good stuff, Greg. Thank you. NFL is one that just like there's content all year round. You can just talk about it legitimately all year round.
Greg, you did miss a big one. Jameis Winston to the Browns. Jameis Winston to the Browns.
Love it, baby.
Old crab leg, loving Jameis.
Crab legs himself.
And that was kind of a big uproar. I don't know about nationally, but certainly locally on a lot of the sports radio shows, they were talking about like, oh, you know, I can't believe they let Flacco go and whatever. And at the end of the day, I think, you know, people in the Browns organization, they watched Flacco, they watched Winston. They went with Winston as the backup, you know, and if you actually look at the stats over their last 6 starts, Winston's are much better, you know, but hats off. Thank you, Joe Flacco. You took us to the playoffs and we lost terribly to the Texans that first game, but it was a really fun ride.
Quick question though, Greg, who wins the statistical competition for pending charges, Winston or Watson?
I think I agree with Watson.
Yeah, probably was.
Well,
That's a
I
lot
guess
of char-
no, because
That's a lot.
Winston was actually charged.
Yeah, okay.
Like he was found guilty, so I guess
I said pending though, so I guess
okay.
Yeah.
No, he was found.
We're all about reform on this side of town, you know. So we're gonna help. We're gonna help people be better.
Love it. All right, so in that case, staying right on the sports topic. So yeah, this week is going to be a little sports heavy. We're going to jump into a March Madness segment. March Madness, and I'm going to kick it off, and I'm going to explain the structure of it and kind of how it works and exactly what it is. So March Madness is, for most people that may or may not know, college basketball. Right now, the conference tournaments are currently going on, and then this Sunday, the selection committee will pick all 64 teams. So the way March Madness works, it starts next Tuesday. The way it works is we have 64 Division I college basketball teams that get chosen. The way they're chosen is kind of fascinating. There's 32 of them, what we would call automatic bids or automatic qualifiers. Now, what that means is if you win your conference tournament, you're automatically in the NCAA tournament, which is what March Madness really is. And March Madness actually starts from the beginning of March because of everything that's going on now, all the lead up to it, all the teams trying to play their way into the NCAA tournament, the teams that they would call the bubble teams, et cetera, et cetera. So there are, I want to say, and Bill, maybe you could fact check this unless Greg knows it off the top of his head. I want to say there are about, I think there's like 30 something Division I conferences. It might be like 32 or something like that. But Division I, because there's a whole bunch of other conferences and stuff like that. But D1 conferences, I think there's like 30 or something like that.
And
no, it was way more than that. Way more than that.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'll have to look it up.
Because so the breakdown of it is there's what's considered high majors, right? High major conferences. So that's like your SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12,
32.
Basketball. Yeah,
there's
basketball
32. And
right.
They're comprised of 351 teams.
There you go. So out of those 351 teams and those 32 conferences, 64 teams get chosen. Like I said, 32 of them, if they win their conference tournament, are automatically in. So you have, like, for instance, you have the Mountain West, which is actually a really strong conference this year, and I'm just throwing it out there. And whoever wins the Mountain West Conference tournament, which is going on right now, is automatically in the NCAA tournament, no matter how bad they may have done during the season. Now, typically, the team that's going to win their conference is probably a team that did pretty well in the season. But the mediocre teams that wouldn't necessarily get picked, they have a chance to play their way into it with winning their conference tournament or just simply going on a nasty run. So Bill mentioned Pitt already. Pitt, and nobody tell me the outcome if you've seen it, but Pitt played my team tonight, UNC, Tar Heels, and Pitt was like right on the bubble. Their overall record isn't that great, but they won like 10 of their last 11 or 12 games during the regular season, and they're playing in I think the semifinals tonight against the University of North Carolina. Again, I see Bill typing away. Don't tell me the outcome because I recorded the second half and I want to watch it. But if Pitt beats UNC, who's one of the best teams in the league, they're number like 5 or 6 overall, I think, possibly going to get another 1 seed in the tournament. That would go a long way to helping Pitt get in the NCAA tournament. So you can play your way in with those automatic qualifiers. Now, a lot of these, especially in these high majors, a lot of the really good teams that, like, so for instance, let's go UConn, right? Shout out to Danny P and the UConn Huskies. They're one of the top teams in the league. Once again, they're reigning national champions. They're the heavy favorite to win their conference tournament, the Big East. They were already going to be in the NCAA tournament hands down because they were like 28-3, one of the top 3 ranked teams all season out of those 350. So that's when you start to get the other 32 teams that are not automatic qualifiers. They get what's called an at-large bid, meaning the selection committee looks at their overall record, their strength of schedule, their strength of non-conference schedule. So for the first couple months of the college basketball season, teams play outside of their conference. They play other teams. So like the Pac-12 will play the Big East, and Big 10 will play the ACC, vice versa. They'll play some lower major schools, some higher major schools. and they'll do that. So the selection committee will look at their overall strength of schedule, their conference strength of schedule, and who they beat in their own conference, their non-conference strength of schedule, and then it's actually broken down into 4 quads, right? So the top 70 teams, according to all the metrics, would be considered quadrant 1. 71 to 139 or 140 would be considered quadrant 2. The next 70 is quadrant 3. The next 70 is quadrant 4, and that makes up the 350 some odd teams. So if you are a quadrant 1 team and you lose to a quadrant 3 or 4 team, that stains your resume for the entire season. Doesn't keep you out necessarily, but that loss to a bad team weighs heavier than if you would lose middle of the season to a good team, right? So like you really have to, producer Janine throwing some comments in, you really have to kind of like, that's how the selection committee will weigh it, right? So you might have a team that's, only got a 4 or 5 win-loss differential, but maybe they've beaten 6 top 25 teams. They got a really good quad 1, quad 2 resume and strength of schedule. They don't have any or only 1 or 2 quadrant 3 or 4 losses. That team is going to get a good look over other teams. So 64 teams. The tournament starts next Tuesday. It is single elimination. So if you lose, you're out, just like Corey's Eagles in the playoffs this past year. 1 loss and you're done. And this is where like not football, but basketball fans and sports fans really, it becomes so much fun. So for instance, last year you had the number 1 ranked overall team in Purdue, the Purdue Boilermakers, that lost in the first round to a number 16 seed in Fairleigh Dickinson University. Huge upset. It was like the story of the week that week. So out of those 64 teams, they're broken into 4 divisions in the NCAA tournament, 16 teams apiece. You got, so they'll pick a number 1 seed for all 4 divisions, a number 2 seed for all 4 divisions, 3 seed, 4 seed, so on and so forth, all the way down to a 16 seed. And just like you would imagine, the 1 seed plays the 16, the 2, the 15, the 3, the 14, and so on and so forth. And that's just and then it's legitimately just madness for the next couple weeks. Anything goes, and you get these unbelievable games with just heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears, and it is absolutely phenomenal. And Corey, I really, truly hope you get into it and watch a little bit of it, because I think you will be absolutely enthralled by it. So
I need you to tell me what to watch. Also, Perdue, does that have anything to do with chicken?
There's a crossover there, yes.
Are you serious?
Well, yeah, no, there is, yeah. Yeah, they have, it's not the same, but there's alumni and stuff like that. Like there's a crossover.
Like chicken breast?
Yeah, like the Purdue Chicken Company.
Purdue is the city.
Yeah, but, yes, but there is they're not named after each other, one or the other, but there is crossover there. The Purdue plant, I believe, is in Indiana.
Wait, hold on.
Blowing my mind. You're blowing my mind right now.
Go ahead.
But yeah, I do need you.
Sure. I need our fact checker to get on that.
I am all in on sports this year. Listen, I started with football this past year, getting into it. I'm in 100% on football and my Philadelphia Eagles especially. But I am all in. I'm gonna watch baseball for you, Sean. I'm gonna watch basketball. I want to have friends again. Okay, I want you guys to talk to me. So that's where I'm at. Also, I'm awake. That was
he's woke. Everybody, he's woke.
I'm woken.
He's woke. Greg, go ahead and add. Or wait, Bill, you got it or no?
It looks highly unlikely.
Unlikely what?
That they're associated. In fact, they're not, because Purdue is spelled Purdue. The university. Purdue Chicken.
The chicken company is PER. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And I looked it up, and on there, someone put the first comment was, "Is this a real question?"
You know what? I'll say it right now. Mea culpa. I always just thought that the plant was in Indiana, and there's some crossover there.
Well, let's tell people there is.
Very good basketball team, regardless.
Listen, I've lived in Indiana before, and I can tell you that people there love chicken. So
Yeah,
there's a little bit of crossover.
It's like saying New Orleans has something to do with Popeyes. I don't know.
Well, hold on, time out, because I'm pretty sure Popeyes was founded in New Orleans.
Yeah, but like New Orleans, the city doesn't own Popeyes.
They own the bayou, though.
That's great. That is great.
That was the best I could think of for an analogy there.
Just for the record, Salisbury, Maryland for Purdue chicken. So way off.
Do they own Salisbury steak?
I was going to say that, but not Salisbury steaks.
Something crosses somewhere.
This is one of those conspiracies where we're going to have like red yarn from point to point in the background. Yeah.
It's a Skull and Bones Purdue Society owns the chicken farm.
Yes.
I was hoping, man.
Yeah, you hit that one on the head, Corey. That was very
I was hoping.
observant.
I like chicken. I eat a lot of chicken these days. Not Purdue, though.
All right, so where were we?
Go ahead, Craig. Do you want to take anything on any March matter? I guess I should ask Corey and Bill. Well, I know, Bill, you know a little bit about this stuff, but do you have any questions, Corey, on that?
I asked my question about chicken.
Okay.
I grew up a Pitt fan. I mean, I went to Pitt games, tournament games, all that. So,
they're decent this year.
I do have one question. Who would be my team?
From Philly, Penn State, probably.
Would it be Penn State?
They kind of stink.
well, logistically, right now it'd be like Ward 17, like street team or whatever down there in New Orleans. But technically, it'd be like Villanova.
That'd be LSU, is what it'd be.
Yeah, it'd be LSU.
In Philly, though, it would probably be Penn State, wouldn't it? No,
Villanova.
Or Villanova.
So.
Yeah, that's
Villanova proximity.
Shout out Villanova.
Yeah. So Villanova, Corey, was a powerhouse a few years ago. They won a couple national championships. They've struggled the last couple of years, still had a winning record, but they lost to Marquette yesterday in a really close game. Actually, it went into overtime. That was a sick game. Marquette scored. Oh, my God. That was unbelievable if anybody saw it at the very, very end. But essentially, they went into overtime and lost. And their only chance of making the NCAA tournament was to make a deep run in the Big East Conference tourney, and they did not do it. But historically, it's a good team to root for.
No joke. I haven't watched a Marquette game since Dwayne Wade was the field general. I'm not exaggerating.
Marquette's they were like the number 6 overall team in the nation this year.
They were
really
so
good
fun
again.
that year, though. The year I'm talking about, they went deep. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely watch Marquette this year.
Yeah, they're good. They'll be a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, Bill.
Definitely gonna watch them. And seeding comes out Sunday, I believe, right, Sean?
Correct. Selection Sunday is this Sunday.
And then you do your bracketology, guys. Everyone, we're going to do live brackets in here. We'll probably post them on our social media accounts to see who has the highest efficiency score when it's all said and done.
Bill, can you look up what time Selection Sunday? And it's televised, too. Just look it up real quick so we can tell the listeners. What you got, Greg?
Well, I admittedly, unless Ohio State or my alma mater, Kent State, are doing very good, which neither one of them are, I don't really pay a lot of attention to college basketball throughout the season. But this is one of my, I love this time of year, right? And I love just honestly just going with my gut, on building a bracket, and so. There's a lot of good teams out there. Like I know I've started following with over the course of the last couple weeks. Some of the teams, I'm always rooting for my boy Danny P's UConn Huskies. They're a phenomenal team. However, they are the reigning national champions, and there are only 2 teams since the 70s that have won back to back, and that is Duke in 91-92. Shout out Christian Laettner, and Florida in 06 and 07. The chances are very, very, very slim that UConn repeats, but I'll be pulling for him just because, like I said, Danny P's a diehard. He's actually up there at the game this weekend, tomorrow, so that's awesome for him. Other than that, I know that Arizona's really good. I know that the Vols are going to be in the conversation, the old Tennessee Vols. But at the end of the day, I mean, I predict that whichever team that's in the national championship game puts the ball through the hoop more times than the other team will be crowned victorious and be the winner.
Should you write that down, Corey?
Is that the way it works?
I think that's the way it works. Also, go Drake Bulldogs all day.
So, so Drake Bulldogs, they won their conference tournament in a riveting game against, I forget, Indiana State, was it?
Yes.
Indiana State the other night, here's the great part about it. Indiana State had a great year. I think they lost like 5 games. They had some big wins. They were easily a lock most of the year to get into the tournament. And because they lost to a not so good Drake team, or at least in the season they weren't that great, but because they had a bad loss and lost their conference tournament, Drake's automatically in, and Indiana State might not get in now. So that's kind of how volatile it is.
Well,
so
and
just
that's what I like the most about the tournament, though, is like it's one and done. Whereas, and trust me, I grew up on, and I still do love the NBA, but it's like, every time we get to the NBA, like nobody cares about the regular season as much, unless you're a diehard. And then we get to the playoffs and it's like these 7-game series. It's just, to me, it's not as exciting as March Madness is. March Madness is like, it's very much like football. It's one and done, baby. So it's like, you better bring your best game every game, no days off.
So right here, as of right now, if the selection committee was going today, here are the top 8 teams, and we won't get into all of them, but UConn, number 1 overall, Purdue, number 2, Houston, number 3, Tennessee, number 4. Those will be your 4 number 1 seeds in each of the 4 divisions, followed by UNC, Tar Heels, my team, Baylor's phenomenal again this year, Marquette, and Arizona. So those will be your top 8, meaning they'll be your 1 and your 2 seeds in all 4 of the divisions.
Right.
Yep. And selection Sunday is 6 p.m.
What channel do you know?
I'm sure it's ESPN.
Probably ESPN.
Yeah.
ESPN 8, the Ocho.
So
it's good stuff.
All right. So for me, I'm assuming you gentlemen are done.
Go ahead.
All right, so just to put it out there, lowest team to win the championship since 1985 is an 8 seed, and that was in 1985. It was Villanova. Typically 24 times since 85, a 1 seed's won, so that's a 63% hit rate on that. So take that for what it is. I mean, it's pretty high clip that the 1 seed actually wins the tournament. Obviously followed by the 2 and the 3, and then there's one-time winners, 8, 7, 6, 4, never a 5 seed winner. So all those teams, I should say 90+% of the championship teams that have won the tournament have had a top 21 offense and a top 31 defense. So dang good offense, dang good defense. Putting that into play, I'm going to put it out there right now. No way Purdue wins it. No way your boys at Marquette win it. No way Gonzaga wins it either. I don't
Definitely
think
not Gonzaga.
Yeah. None of those guys have a shot. To me, Houston is the obvious pick. Great offense, great D. They've been terrific all year. They've been steady. I don't see a lot of people on them. I don't think they're a sexy pick per se, but I think that they're a good team. And they're going to cause people problems in the tournament. Auburn, elite scorer. They got Janai Broom, great defenders. I could see them making a run. These are my teams that I think can actually win the championship. UConn, incredible team. Greg mentioned it. Team hasn't repeated since 06, 07, Florida Gators. I shout out Danny P. I love you, buddy. Arizona, they meet those qualifications of top defense and a top offense as well. I think they could cause problems, but they play down the competition a lot, so that's a problem. I don't see that they could do it, but they're on my list. Highly unlikely. But Creighton, UConn's coach Dan Hurley said it was like running into a buzzsaw when they played Creighton earlier this year. Creighton's they're a mature. I like Creighton a lot. They're like the team that I like the teams that like have never, like, don't have a history, and then they put together these great teams and they run. and they can play. The Creighton can play the whole floor. They can play any type of game you want. And then my personal, not a sleeper, but pick is Duke. I think Duke. I know people doubt Duke, but you can't say they're out of it. Duke, North Carolina, and Tennessee have the best chances of winning this whole thing to me. I've always liked North Carolina. I'm a Michael Jordan guy through and through. Never really liked Duke, but these days, I'm as an older, distinguished gentleman, I begin to understand Duke. I understand Duke, and I can respect them. So that for me, it's going to be exciting this year. I'm glad I'm back on the March Madness, and I hope for our viewers that helps you out. Those to me would be the teams. So you got Houston, Auburn, UConn, Arizona, Creighton, Duke, Tennessee, and North Carolina. I think those sum it up for me as the teams that are in play to win this.
So I'm going to talk about the top 3 teams that completely far and above raised themselves past everyone else this year. And Bill, you're right about Houston, but you're also wrong. They've been getting a lot of love this year. And you are right. They have. So Purdue, UConn, and Houston are the top 3 teams. They transition number 1, 2, and 3 spot in the nation all year long. They kind of just fluctuated back and forth. Each one of them held it for a handful of weeks. Houston has the best computer numbers in the entire nation. They were the ones that the computers said they had, like you were talking about, the offense and the defense, top rated, hands down. They were 30-3 overall, and they're still going because they're in the Big 12 tournament right now. But the computers have had them number 1 for most of the year. Purdue sitting at 29-3, and they won earlier today. I think they beat Michigan State. They had the best body of work, meaning in like quad 1 and 2. So I have it right here. They are 11-3 in quad 1 and 8-0 in quad 2. Meaning, so that's, what is that? 19-3 in the first 2 quadrants, which is unbelievable, right?
Mm-hmm.
They beat the most top 25 teams this year. Purdue did, and then UConn, same thing, 30-3. They unbelievable quad 1 and 2 record. Their strength of total schedule was a little less. So Houston had a number 15 overall strength of schedule. Purdue number 6, which means they played the hardest schedule this year and beat the most top 25 teams. And UConn 32. So still really tough, all of them, but not as good. But UConn's blowing teams out by like 20 and 30 points. Like they're just steamrolling teams. So those are your top 3. Those are your heavy favorites, followed by Tennessee. But Houston is, many people are saying that Houston has the best numbers. And as somebody put it today earlier to me, or maybe that was yesterday, they look like grown men playing with little boys. So
yeah, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
I think and to clarify, right, you're right, but people are leaning away, which there's other teams out there. I just think they're really good, and they know what I mean.
They're
and my sleeper is Pitt Panthers, of course, not to make to win the championship, but to maybe get into the 16.
The heart pick.
Yeah, the heart pick is Pitt. Obviously, I'm going with them.
And just to close out on that combo, Houston was in they were in a mid-major conference last year. This is their first year in the Big 12, and they are just running through teams.
Right.
Like, so typically when you come from a mid-major program to a high major, there's a few years in between. You got to get your feet under you, and the Big 12 is easily possibly the toughest conference in the whole nation. So unbelievable what they're doing. Good. All right, guys. Let's get into On the Beam, spirituality, better living, and we're going to get right into it. And we are going to go to Bill first. If you're ready, sir, take it away.
Yeah, I just saw that note there. That it's me up first, which is a privilege. So this week, we're going to talk about personal inventory, exercising the demons. Getting rid of that internal sludge and those things inside of yourself. Because for me, I've talked about it in weeks past, and if you know me, then you know. I had a lot of that, man. I went through excessive amounts of trauma as a child. many things that I when I even write them on paper that are just, man, people would I read it and I go, people would classify this as trauma. And because it is, and for so long I wrote that off and I just said that's nothing. And I started stuffing and fronting and becoming, an altered person, trying to please others, be this other person. And I never ever got to the root of what really bothered Bill, and what happened was I had no boundaries in life. Everything else dictated my path. When you have no boundaries and you don't know who you are, you don't have any choices. You think you do. You think you're people pleasing, you're making all these choices, but you're really not in life. Life begins to dictate you. I lived that way for a long time. I lived in a lot of pain, and sometimes you have a lot of bad on the inside and there's good on the outside. In those instances, you need to be able to open up those boundaries. You need to have, your fences need to have gates in them essentially. And when there's pain within, you have to open up. So regardless of that, I spoke about it before, but I began to want to work on these things. And as I began to see just the mustard seed of a different life, I saw that a lot of the people that I was around that were doing well had done this personal inventory fact check. And what happened was I went to a close, trusted personal friend, and he sort of talked to me about it and told me I need to make lists of these things and write it all out. And that's what I was saying is like I had to write all this stuff out and look at it. And when I looked at it, I was like, man, this is crazy. And this guy says, I want you to read this to me. I don't want to go over it because we're only as sick as our secrets. But as I wrote this out, there was a lot of healing in that because I saw it. I saw it all. I got emotional. I got by myself. I didn't care about what other people were thinking. I thought about what I needed to put on the paper. I got emotional. I cried. And I wrote these things to my mom and my dad, who I lost both of them tragically in tragic ways, and abuse that I suffered as a kid, and pain inside of myself. I saw it all written there on the paper, and it was all true. And this guy says, "I want you to come tell me about that." And I trusted this guy full way through. But after I was done writing the list, and before I had told him, I was like, I don't know if I can trust this guy, and he's still one of my most trusted friends. And shout out Sean. And so, I went to him, and it was emotional, but part of me thought that he was gonna like go, man, that's terrible. I understand why you act the way you act, why you are the way you are, why you steal from a store for the fun of it, why you slander people for the fun of it, why your soul is so sick, and that wasn't why we were there. We were there for healing. We were there for a new foundation, and that's what we did. As we went over it, I'm like, I had this list of like hundreds of things, literally, and I quickly saw, like quarter way through, like, dang, like this has no relevance in my life. This has no relevance. This I'm responsible for. I'm going down the list. This one I'm responsible for. And what I ended up finding out was, those things I talked about, the trauma, the losing the parents, then my grandparents raised me, losing my grandparents. Man, I lost them at like 18 or earlier. The abandonment I felt in my soul, like God left, everyone left, and I had this huge abandonment issue, and this pain, and I realized 80% of that list was concocted by me and my derangement off the 4 things that really were bothering me on that list that I hid in there strategically to not make them such a big deal. And we got down to the brass tacks of that, and I saw it, and I realized those things controlled me. And thank God for good people. That's why I always say this every week: is get with good people, find your tribe. He said to me, he didn't go through what I went through, but he saw what I was going through, and he said, I want you to write a letter to all your loved ones you lost. And I'm like, all right. And I went and I wrote this letter, and it was the same thing, man. It was emotional. I was like crying. It was an apology. It was an acceptance. It was goodbye, and it was also I'm still here, you know what I mean, from them, that I felt in my heart. And now at this time I'm still claiming to be an atheist person, and on top of that, then he goes, I want you to come up on this spiritual retreat with me and light the letter on fire. And I go, that's a terrible idea. I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I wanted more. I wanted freedom. And, next thing you know, I paid over $100 to hang out with a bunch of men on this mountain. And I'm at this retreat. I've never done anything like this in my life. I mean, I'm like, dude, this to me, what, like 3 months before, I would have said, this is corny. I would have made fun of everybody. And when I got up there, all those walls fell off of me. And I saw everybody up there, even the people I didn't like, that I was like, man, this person's just trying to heal. This person's trying to heal. And I looked at it and I finally became a part of the brotherhood, the sisterhood of life, of humanity when I was up there. So then we went down and it was the final day, and there was this chapel overlooking the mountains. And every morning we would go down as the sun rises. Someone would get up and say something, and then they would play Amazing Grace and How Great Thou Art by Mary of the Mountains. And every man, there'd be like 200 men up there. Every man in there would be crying. If you weren't crying, you didn't have a pulse. So we go up there every day. The last day we go up there, I'm going up there to light this letter on fire and let it all go and leave it on the mountain, and find peace and healing inside of myself. And I'm walking down, and there's this gentleman named Joe, and he'd been around as long as some of those trees. And he came up to me and he goes, hey, I want you to share with this group where you're at with your spiritual process. And I go, okay, I can do that. So I get up in front of the group and I go, hey, I'm about to light this letter on fire. I'm about to leave all this pain, suffering, humiliation behind me up here on this mountain and move forward a different and changed man. And they queued up and played the music. The sun came up. It was beautiful. My soul smiled. I think everyone's soul smiles up there. And walked over to the side of the mountain. I lit that thing on fire. And it's never come back. That pain and that suffering has been gone. It has really been gone. I'm blessed beyond my ability to receive. When I lit that, a part of me changed forever. A part of me really changed forever, and it's a special place up there for me. And the real miracle behind it all was when I turned around, there was 4 or 5 other gentlemen who were looking a little rough. They came up to me and they go, man, how did you get the power to do that? How did you become that in your own journey? How did you get there? And I realized at that moment that man, I've always just wanted to help people. These people are asking me for help. 90 days ago, I couldn't even sleep on anyone's couch, regardless of if I just hit the lottery or not, because I was out of my mind and I drove people crazy. I tortured them for a long time. But up there, I realized when I did this inventory, I realized I just want to help people, but I've only learned how to torment people from my derangement of keeping that stuff inside of myself. So coolest experience I've ever been through, most healing experience. And it was the biggest experience that I would have made fun of before that and had a lot of contempt about. Changed my life, changed who I was. I came down that mountain and changed, man. Today I have peace in my heart, and I like to carry that with me every single day. So I try to stay in contact with God today, every single day, and the atheist is now faithful believer. Thanks for letting me go first, Sean.
Thank you, Bill. Good memories. Greg.
All right, so yeah, so like we've talked about before, this stuff is not just for folks in recovery. These are great principles to have just for anybody as far as daily living, but for people that are in recovery or looking to become, get fully recovered, like a lot of us talk about, this kind of stuff is absolutely essential, right? I work in construction equipment and supply sales. That's what I do for a living. I operate out of a warehouse, and at any given moment, I've got 10 to 12,000 different items on hand that I'm responsible for. And the only way for me to effectively manage that is through taking a regular inventory. It's vital for my business to be able to see what items we're going through on a consistent basis, what we have a surplus of, which items aren't selling and maybe need to get disposed of or put on like a clearance rack to get rid of quickly. And my recovery works in that same type of fashion. I recognize by this point that drugs and alcohol aren't my problem. I'm my problem, right? My resentments, my fears that I've clung to for most of my life kind of run rampant inside my own mind. So living in the state of mind that I was in for a long time, I didn't want to look at any of those things. So the drugs and the alcohol became the solutions to those issues. And through the process of taking an honest, thorough inventory of these things that were running my life, essentially, I was able to begin the process of seeing where I was wrong, where I was selfish or dishonest, where I was like self-seeking and afraid, and certainly where I was at fault. Um, and I was told early on in this whole thing is in order for me to fully grasp these concepts and be able to really take a good look inward, that I should find someone tight-lipped and trustworthy, like Bill was talking about, someone that I could be completely honest with about all this stuff if I truly wanted to be free of it. And one of the big things that's said in something that was absolutely ingrained in me early in recovery is that if I wanted to truly be free, it only came down to my willingness, honesty, and open-mindedness to accept a spiritual solution. And so that's what I did. And of course, the man I chose to tell all this stuff to and be totally honest with, I thought for sure, again, similar to Bill, that he was just going to feel bad for me, because all the fucked up things that I went through, and I was, of course, just a terrible victim of circumstance, and that's the reason that I was the way that I was, and blah 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 blah. And short story, I was wrong. But what he did do is he sat there and listened to me thoroughly. Even when I was being delusional, he sat there and he listened all the way through it. He helped me to see in every instance where I had acted out of fear or resentment, where I did have that skewed delusional way of thinking of things and looking at things, and certainly like where I had hurt others through my own actions. And he also helped me to take a look at some things that happened to me, like especially as a child, that he assured me, like all the guilt and anger that I've been hanging on to with those things, like dude, that stuff wasn't your fault. You were a kid. But more importantly, it's time to let it go. Like, do you want to be free of this stuff? And I wanted to be fully done with it once and for all. So when I started to become completely honest, sure enough, these weights kind of fell for me, and they say, like, you're as free in this whole deal as you want to be. And I wanted to be free. I had spent, the better part of 2.5 decades just ripping and running through my own life, through the lives of a lot of other people. So even past this point of doing an inventory and discussing it with somebody else, there was still more work for me to do. But this was certainly like the beginning of my pathway to freedom. And when I started to feel everything that was plaguing me for my entire life kind of start to fall from my shoulders. So thanks.
Very good. Very good. You're up, Corey.
All right. First off, I want to throw this out there. Unless you guys privately, well, I don't know what the word is, but unless you guys privately like don't want to do this, we should next week, or around the horn, we should bring one mountain story each. Like Bill was talking about the spiritual retreat. We all had the benefit of going there at least twice for me, and more so for you guys, I think. We should do that. We should bring a mountain story. Furthermore, I'm just gonna add like one or two quick things and move on. But I went through a similar process to what you guys are talking about, and you know, coming into recovery this time was the first time that I was pretty ready to um just own everything. You know what I mean? I was really out of excuses. Um, basically from the start. I did not think I also, sought out a friend to kind of lay it all on as far as like who I was angry at and fears and all the dark crannies and everything of my life that I didn't care to share with people. I shared with a friend. But, unlike you guys, I think this might be the only thing that I don't identify with is like I totally knew that I was not going to get a pat on the ass at all. And man, I was ready just to be very, 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 very open about where I was wrong. So the biggest thing about that whole process, I think I was supposed to get out of it and that I did get out of it was that, man, every single person I'm mad at and a bunch of people that I'm not mad at, um, I harmed. You know, I I set the ball rolling most of the time in whatever the situation was. Uh, now, granted, like I said, I was ready when I got sober to discuss that kind of stuff and to realize that before, if you had asked me a day or two before I got sober, they were wrong. Um, they like my buddy was wrong for kicking me out of his house, and that which kind of like kick-started like homelessness for me. He was wrong to do that. But I wouldn't tell you the other side of the story about how I got completely loaded and showed up to his house, and that was definitely a broken rule there. I wouldn't tell you that part. So like that whole process was a good opportunity for me to actually look at the truth, look at how I was treating people. And there was always a pattern. I used them, and I always wanted to get what I wanted or what I felt I needed. Um, basically it all came out of selfishness, like we talked about, like, some sort of like I always had a fear that I wouldn't have what I needed or what have you. But um, it all starts with me, and 100% I can tell you this 110% and on with this, that I've been sober for 8 years and change, and not one thing since I got sober has just happened to me. Nothing has just happened to Corey. If I went through a tough time, I had a huge part to play in it. And that was probably true throughout my life too. However, I didn't look at it back then. And today I do, and I have friends that help me look at it. And it's a very freeing way to be in life, I think. So that's it.
Very good, Corey. I'm going to touch on a couple quick bullet points, and we'll wrap it up at that. So this process is what our literature calls a fact-finding and fact-facing process. And Greg hit it on the head with the inventory, right? It is an effort to discover the truth about the stock in trade. And in this case, it's my own emotions, behaviors, attitudes, and all that stuff that I'm taking an inventory of. And it's logistically broken down into resentments, fears, harms done, fears, and a sexual inventory. But really what that just means is it's an extension of our harms done. And most of us coming into recovery were pretty screwed up when it came to the relationships we had. And it's not just sexual, it's not just that kind of thing, but it could be intimacy, it could be just any way that our ideas about relationships and any way we acted in relationships and the people that those relationships might have affected. So those are kind of what they're broken down into. And one of the greatest gifts I've received out of writing this stuff down and taking this inventory and then telling it to another closed mouth, understanding person, someone that I trusted, it is getting it out of, well, the gift I've gotten is today, and I think we can all kind of say it for our own selves, I have a pretty damn good, accurate representation of who I am. I know where my faults lie. I know the areas in my life I need to continue to work on. I know what I'm really good at. I also know that the things I'm really good at are God-given and therefore good, and the things that I need to work on is a lot of self-will that gets in the way, and I still want to try to run it. But I know the areas of my life, and I know the areas of my own behaviors and mentality and attitude that need some work still. The reason we put it on paper, right, is because up here, where it's been spinning around for all those years, is Fantasyland. I don't have the ability, especially early on getting sober, to accurately recount and recall the events of my past, right? They are distorted, right? I suffer from a distortion problem amongst many things. So getting it on paper gets it out of Fantasyland and into reality, and then talking with it to that other human being, that understanding person that's been through this process, they can help me see patterns in my life. And that's one of the things that we do, and all four of us have had the absolute privilege of listening to other people's inventories, and we try to help them connect the dots and look at patterns or look at certain things from a different point of view, right? Greg brought up the stuff that might have happened to him as a kid, and there's a lot of that stuff. We hear that a lot, right? And when you're young and you're a kid, you are not responsible for what happened to you. What we are responsible for is we've taken that for the rest of our life and let that define who we are. We've never taken the steps necessary to be rid of it and to move past it, right, et cetera, et cetera. And I will say in my opinion, and I think you guys would share this, the most important part of the inventory process is, and Corey touched on it, is where am I at fault, right? It's not just the people I'm pissed at. Yes, it's good to get that out, but it's almost like a parlor trick, right? We tell the new guy, hey man, make me a list of everybody you're pissed off at and tell me exactly why. And they do that. And then you're like, okay, now what did you do to each one of those people? Where are you at fault, right? Where did you wrong those people? Where were you selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, inconsiderate, et cetera, et cetera? And for me personally, I was very selfish, dishonest, all that stuff, 100%. But inconsideration seemed to be the word that kept coming up. I was so inconsiderate of other people's feelings, where they were at in their lives. And but to me, the best part about it is, even though I'm finding out where I'm at fault and I'm looking at my side of the street, what I've done wrong, that turned out to be one of the most freeing parts of this entire process. So I want to say, I love you guys, and each of us know each other's lives very intimately and what we've been through. And it has been truly an absolute pleasure, knowing you guys and helping work through these things together with you, and vice versa, right? You guys have helped me and guided me on many different avenues. And I'm just, man, who could ask for better friends?
I've never helped you. And if I have, I want to know how, so I don't do it again. Deal.
We'll take that offline. Do you have something, Bill, in closing?
That Bud Light shirt helped me. I love you guys. There's nothing you can do about it.
Good stuff.
Hey, am I still wavy?
Yes.
You sure are. You're on the Wheezy Wi-Fi down there in New Orleans.
Anybody have any quick parting thoughts? Anything they want to say, add on to this, or anything else?
No.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Especially my Irish community. Got my shirt from my boy Brick, and we're going to represent the Irish today. Brick in Pittsburgh, Time Bomb Shop. Let's go.
Bring out your shillelaghs.
I have green. That says Psych. Shout out Psych. Go watch it.
Shout out to Mary of the Mountain and her wonderful music.
Mary of the Mountain, baby.
God bless.
We got.
If you know, you know. I have a Mary CD if anyone wants a copy.
Ooh,
it's a beautiful thing. Ladies and gentlemen, shout out to all our listeners. Thank you for your support. Please like, follow, and share on all socials at Trudge Report Pod. Again, that is at Trudge Report Pod. Email us, trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. Send mailbag requests for topics, questions, and comments to any of these handles. Remember, we are all here. If anyone wants to talk about recovery and our experiences, or if you are struggling with some form of addiction, we are here to help. Thank you again to Janine and Stella Mix Podcast Management. Good night, God bless, and may you trudge the road of happy destiny. We will see you next week. Cheers.